Hello and welcome to UK Gaming Network. I'm Brian, also known as UK Genzoidberg, and this is Best 10, where I offer up my choices for the 10 best games to fit a selected theme. In this episode, I'm here to talk about one of the most well-known publishers of Amiga games. I've already covered Codemasters, Ocean and EA in previous videos, but today I'm here to talk about Sheffield's finest, Gremlin Graphics, also known as Gremlin Interactive. This is a company who I first became aware of in the days of the Spectrum, thanks to the popularity of the Monty Mole games. But on the Amiga, they went from strength to strength and produced a wide variety of titles, including a number of bestsellers. As always, there are going to be games that I've not included in this video that you probably consider one of your favourites, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to claim that this is a definitive list, merely it's the 10 games that I like playing the most. I would love to know what your best 10 is in the comments. Rather than sit here waffling on though, let's get on with it and see what game I've chosen as my number 10.
All systems activated.
Disposable Hero is a game that I really want to like more than I actually do, and I do enjoy it enough to include it here. Just. From the graphics to the music, it's got some truly excellent arcade-style presentation, but there are too many annoying design choices that hold it back for me. The weapon system is truly awful for starters, but I can just about live with it. Also, the game begins with what's definitely its best level. Once you're past the first boss fight though, it's downhill all the way, and by the final level you really won't know what's part of the scenery and what you can safely fly past. Such a shame, as there's clearly a truly great game in here screaming to get out, and that's what annoys me about it.
All systems activated.
If you want to see just how far games have come in the last 30 years, look no further than Utopia. Colony builders nowadays are much more accessible as they tend to feature full tutorials. You're not going to have a clue how to play this one though, without reading the doorstop of a manual that came with it. If you take your time to do so, however, you'll be treated to one of the deepest and most challenging games around. Balancing the happiness of your colonists with the need to defend yourself from potential threats can be overwhelming at times, particularly in your first few hours. But it's also surprisingly addictive. Based on the hugely popular fantasy board game, Hero Quest is not the type of game that I would usually play. The fact that I did says something about how well the designers managed to produce this great party game. Playing solo is okay, but you're really going to get the most fun out of it by playing with friends. It features some great isometric presentation and a simple mouse control interface. Even a complete role-playing novice like me won't have trouble picking it up. You can play the 14 levels in any order that you like, and each one will likely take you an hour or so. But the only real downside is that there's no save game option during them. I was not a fan of the original Zool, yet it somehow reviewed spectacularly well and was enough of a success to warrant a sequel. And I'm certainly not going to complain about that, as Zool 2 was everything that I'd wanted the first game to be. Better level design, tighter controls, and a central character that actually had a personality to go with the attitude. It all added up to a much more enjoyable game. I would also urge you to play the original A500 version though, as the AGA version looks a right mess. This is a perfect example of just because you can add backgrounds and parallax scrolling doesn't mean that you should. Before we had Colin McRae, there was Celica GT4 Rally. We are spoiled by the level of realism in modern racing games, so it's easy to forget how much the weather effects in this completely blew me away when I first saw it. Having to switch on your wipers manually if it starts to rain or snow added an extra element to what was already an entertaining and enjoyable simulation. This was also the first time that I'd heard a co-driver shouting out pace notes as I drove a stage too. The gameplay options are a little sparse, it's full rally or practice only, and a few more locations would have been nice, but that's me being spoilt again.
Left. Right. Left. 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 Right. Left. Right. Right.
There was a time when it felt like there was a new football management game released every month, so in order to stand out you had to be something special. Gremlin's Premier Manager series stood out by being the best of both worlds, with all the stats of Championship Manager and the pick up and play simplicity of Player Manager. The third entry remained as playable as ever, but added an excellent match day screen that allowed you to follow exactly what was happening on the pitch and make changes accordingly. It's not my personal favourite of all the Amiga football management games, but it's definitely top 3. Supercars 2 may have better graphics and a 2-player mode, but I still prefer the first game for one simple reason. It actually feels like a racing game and not a war zone. Being able to play through the races of a season in any order that you like is a particularly nice touch, and it has a nicely stacked difficulty curve that has you questioning whether you should repair and upgrade your current car or save up for a new one. You can still buy weapons for your car as the game progresses, but they don't ruin things to the same degree that they did in the sequel, and I found it much more satisfying to win because of my driving skills. Whenever anyone talks about the best platform games on the Amiga, very few people ever mention Harlequin, but they honestly should. Maybe the game is just too weird when viewed alongside other games, but anyone who did play it will surely remember just how good it is. I will admit that I spent much of my first hour getting confused about what I was meant to be doing, but then it clicked. The level design is excellent and varied, there's always something to do, even when you're trying to work out where to go next, and it's one of the most imaginative games out there. Now, if only it didn't make you choose between music or sound effects. The original game had loads of fantastic ideas, but ultimately ended up being a disappointment. For Switchblade 2 though, they took all that was good and improved everything else. The result is one of the best looking and most enjoyable action platform games on the Amiga. As I explained in my re-review episode about the game, I absolutely love the way that the first level keeps areas hidden until you enter them, as it keeps the exploration fun. It's a shame that there aren't more levels like it. Thankfully though, the rest of the levels are good in their own way, and they offer a decent challenge that will keep you coming back for more. Okay, I am cheating here by including the CD32 release of Lotus as my number one, but the fact is, the perfect Lotus game exists somewhere within the entire trilogy. The first game was an excellent circuit-based racer with strategic pit stops, but half the screen taken away in single-player mode. Lotus 2 unwisely ditched the circuits in favour of an outrun-style arcade game against the clock, but also looks and sounds absolutely fantastic. The third game tried to be the best of both worlds, but had so much in it that it ended up being overstuffed, especially with the inclusion of the Rex track creator. Get the CD version though, and you won't have to decide which one you want to play, as you simply get all three together. So those are my choices for the best 10 Amiga games published by Gremlin. Please make sure you give us a like and subscribe if you have enjoyed this video. To see what my picks for the best 10 games were from other publishers, why not check out the full playlist. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, happy retro gaming everybody, bye for now.